just gonna wait a little bit, let some people hop on. But yeah, it's Friday night. After this live, I'm gonna be going to sleep, and then in the morning, heading to Storm Chelino's house for practice. It's usually a good practice there, usually a good turnout. But yeah, it's gonna be good. This live we'll be talking about a lot of things, mostly arm wrestling stuff, maybe some powerlifting stuff. We'll be talking about the Dungeon Super Series. The pay-per-view is available on this channel, STONEtv, under the memberships. If for some reason your phone does not have a membership option, that means your phone doesn't have the software for membership, so you're going to have to use a laptop or a desktop. Hey, what's up, Brian? Thanks for watching. There's still time if you want to join practice tomorrow. Hop in the old wagon, head down to Pennsylvania. It's a pretty good hike, but for Pennsylvania, it's not too bad. It's only 2.5. Usually when you think of Pennsylvania, you think like 5 or 6 hours. Yeah, just finished up a real quick recovery lift. I only did like one set of pronation, 2 pronation up pressure, pronation side pressure, real light, some light elbow flexion, some light wrist flexion, just one set of each, 30-ish reps, just get some good blood around. Brian says, wouldn't be the first time we took that trip, bro. Yeah, hopefully this time no more car trouble, because we got lucky last time. It sounded like, the Chrysler, like, shot out a spark plug or something. But I think that's what it was. The spark plugs were real old. Probably just needed new spark plugs. But this part of Pennsylvania is like half the distance, so it shouldn't be too bad. I ran out of cups, so I had to use a soup bowl for the lemonade. Lemonade, collagen, and I think that's it for this one. Oh, a little honey maybe. Yeah, put a little honey in it. What do you guys want to talk about? We can talk about pretty much anything. I told people in the beginning to get the pay-per-view, the Dungeon Super Series on STONEtv. Brian says, oh, that's not bad. I'll definitely be in next time. If I have like 2 weeks notice, I'll be golden. Yeah, that gets tricky. Usually, Pennsylvania, it's like week out notice. But I'll see if I can get a heads up, a 2 weeks heads up. But it sounds to me, I don't have anything that's definite, but it sounds to me like Storm's going to be having a match too, recently, or pretty soon. So it seems like he'll be, training more frequently for a super match, possibly. Brian says I can probably make a week work. Yeah, that should be good. Hopefully that's enough. Let's see. The Turtle Man 2, the video of Turtle Man 2 is on this channel. It's under live. If you guys want to check out the tournament, there is a ton of incredible matches in the tournament. The tournament is free, but remember, the Dungeon Super Series is under the pay-per-view, so you're gonna have to become a member. There's other benefits with members. If you are a member, you get a discount for Team Stone merchandise that you can use as long as you're a member. You can use it. Hey, what's up? Thomas Didi's in the chat. He says weight training is one thing, but when it comes to arm wrestling practice, how do you work on certain techniques? Um, well, it depends on. I mean, first off, you have to be in the positions, different positions with versus different other positions. Um, it will definitely help if you have if you can work with somebody that fully understands the technique. Um, but yeah, I would say just gotta table time, being in those positions, trying to mimic certain scenarios. This technique versus a hooker versus a top roller versus um, presser. How is this move on defense? How is this move on offense? Stuff like that. Let's see. Um, Thomas also says, are there certain things you prioritize? Um, so it depends on where I'm in my training. If I'm at like the beginning of the prep and I have a lot of time, I'll do a lot of like hard pulls, straining stuff. Maybe some overload stuff. As it gets closer, focus more on starts. Don't move goes. Stuff like that. So yeah, so usually all the hard grindy stuff is in the beginning. As you get closer, you start to tune everything up. What's up, man? Osden 33. Appreciate you watching. It's been a little bit since we got to talk, but I appreciate you hanging out and watching the live. I can't remember if you're in Pennsylvania or not, but we're going to Storm Chelino's place tomorrow to practice. I don't know if you're around, if you want to get some training in, but it's usually good training. What arm wrestling? What other arm wrestling stuff do you guys want to talk about? Obzin 33 says, "Yep, PA down by Philly." So you might be further than me, maybe, but definitely still worth the trip. There's usually a lot of powerhouses there. Usually a lot of smart guys there. Table IQ and all that good stuff. Yeah, Abzin says, yeah, I think Storm is a ways away. Yeah, if I had to guess, probably 4 hours. If I had to guess, my drive's like 2.5. Oh, gotta get rid of the lemon seeds. So let's see. Is there any interesting stuff? Anything going around in the arm wrestling world? I know Jerry's pulling Vitali. That should be interesting. What do you guys think? Who wins, Jerry or Vitali? Abzin says, yeah, it's tough to get some table time in with having a kid, and my wife is pregnant. Well, that's good, man. Congratulations. That Switzerland, that he also says that Switzerland event looks sick. Yeah, man, it should be sweet. Should be a cool event. Should be an awesome venue. I'm sure there'll be a lot of cool video, besides arm wrestling with all the athletes doing stuff, and Maybe skiing. Maybe they'll take the athletes skiing. If they're smart, they'll do it after the matches so no one gets hurt, injured, because I bet a lot of people can't ski. Abzin says, "Wish I could go. Haha. Looking forward to seeing Jerry back." Yeah, man, it's about time. It's about time. I haven't seen Jerry in a little bit either. How many? It's pretty soon, right? It's like a month out, isn't it? Or is it 2 months out? Is it October or November? There's a whole bunch of good matches, but that's the only match I can remember from that East versus West card is Jerry versus Vitali. Oh, he says November 1st. Okay. So there's still a little bit of time, still some time for the athletes to get stronger and prepped up. But how do you guys see that match going? Vitali versus Jerry. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a best of 5, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, Hobson says Nugo versus Petrenko. That should be interesting. That should be very interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a good match. But yeah, it should be good. Obzin says, "I wonder if Italia is going to grip low like Levon did to Jerry." Maybe, but I don't know. I think you need a. I mean, when Jerry pulled Levon, he felt ridiculously strong. I thought if Levon did grip low, I thought it would be a bad idea for Levon, just how strong he was. But Vitali may not have the same wrist flexion that Levon does to be able to, grab low, turn a palm up. But maybe. I'm sure Jerry's probably training for it, Obson says, "Yeah, Levon is a different animal for sure." Yeah, I saw that match in person, and I definitely, Levon was definitely in great shape, and he, he pulled a perfect match. He didn't make any mistakes, and which I don't think he's made any mistakes in the last couple matches he's had. So it just shows how good of a puller he is too, like table IQ wise. Obin says, "Yeah, I was there too. It was a great time." Yeah, it was a real good time. Let's see, what else can we talk about, guys? We could talk about, I know I said it once, I'll say it again. The Dungeon Super Series is a pay-per-view on this channel, STONEtv. There's 9 incredible matches. Paul Passmore, he has a match with James Clark. He also has a match with Shiyu Lin. Candy Passmore pulls Crystal Malek. Brian Malek pulls Sam Mitchell. James Road Mason pulls Tim Lewis. The Chief and Black Ice pull both left and right arms. And then myself has a match with the team of 3, Andrew, John, and Damien, in a 1 versus 3 handicap match. Obzin says, "Wanted to stop in and say hi, but I gotta get ready for the 98 live stream." Hey man, I appreciate that. Hopefully your live stream goes well. We have a lot of fun on it. Maybe I'll stop in and say hi after I hop off this. But I definitely appreciate you watching, man. Let's see. So the pay-per-view is going to be up on the memberships for a while. Um, it's not going to be made public for at least until after our next event. So keep that in mind. If you want to watch the pay-per-view, there's only one spot to watch it. This channel. Um, if you want a little taste, there's a whole bunch of teaser videos of the super matches on this channel. They definitely don't show anything that can give the outcomes away, but definitely show enough that can hook you, get you interested. If this is your first time watching and you're wondering what it's all about, definitely check those videos out. They'll show you a little glimpse. Let's see what Thomas says. I'm hoping Jerry versus Vitali will be closer than I think it will be. My mind, I think it's going to be 3-1 to either athlete. Either Vitali gets a win on fouls or something. I do think it's going to be close. I mean, I don't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see either athlete getting a clean sweep. You know, because both these guys are extremely strong. They got tons of experience in super matches. They both have great endurance. They're both pretty quick for being super heavyweights. And I bet they both definitely want to win, you know, so I think it's going to be interesting. But, I mean, right now, I think it's going to, I see like a 3-2 Jerry, you know, 3-2 Jerry, very close match. But we will find out soon. Brian says, I think Jerry will do well against Vitali's long arm personally. It could be, you know, definitely could be. Especially with the, you know, that low hand setup, that pronation, that low pronation hand top roll. That might help Jerry get, you know, to his flop a little, you know, if he decides to flop. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Thomas says, and then Jerry dials in the win from there, or Jerry gets a win early on before Vitali figures out a way to open up Jerry's arm. Yeah, definitely could be, you know. Definitely could be. You know, there's lots of power on the table. Both guys are going different ways, so there might be a few fouls, you know, just from the power and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, I'd definitely like to see Jerry get the win, you know. It'd definitely be a good win. Um, so let's see. I may, depending on the service in Pennsylvania, I may try to do a live with Storm tomorrow real quick, maybe after training, maybe before. But yeah, that'll be up to the service of, you know, when I'm in Pennsylvania. Thomas says definitely a big chance that they're going to go back and forth on fouls, similar to Jerry versus Gennadi's match. Definitely going to be super hype the first go. Yeah, definitely. That first go may say a lot too, you know. But we'll see. We'll see very soon. Let's see. Any matches you guys would like to see for the next Dungeon Super Series? Dungeon Super Series number 2. Is there any athletes you'd like to see on the card? Even if you can't think of a match for them, is there any athletes you'd like to see on the card? Any particular super matches? We're thinking about adding a sit-down super match. Thomas Didi says, I'd like to see Colin King from Vermont. I know who he is. I don't know if I've ever met him in person, but I think we're friends on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, I hear he's pretty good. He's a super heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken. He's like 270, 280 or something, if I'm not mistaken. Who would you like to see him pull, Thomas? Who would you like to see Colin pull? Thomas says, yep, around that weight. How good is he? Would you think him versus Shiyu would be a good match? How many years, Thomas, how many years does Colin have in the sport? Thomas Didi says Colin versus one of the 3 that went against you would be cool. That could be interesting. Yeah, maybe I'll message him, or if he's one of your training partners, message him up, see if he's interested. If he's if you guys are close, maybe you guys can carpool down to the event. That would definitely help with parking in the dungeon. Brian Jones says, I think Ice competes sit down. He might be interested in a match. Plus, he has a pretty exciting style from something like that too. Yeah, he probably does. I'm sure he does because he trains with Nitro and some of those old school guys that really like sit down. Yeah, that could definitely be interesting. Thomas Didi says, in that tournament that Steve threw at the really cool venue, he entered the super heavyweight tournament and beat John Bigelow pretty convincingly in that tournament. Oh, very nice, very nice. You know what hand it was? Hey, what's up, James? James Clark's in the chat. He's one of the athletes that had a match with Paul Passmore. We can't tell you the outcome, but it was an awesome match. Some would even say match of the night. It's on this channel under memberships, and I highly recommend you guys checking it out and getting the pay-per-view. But James, we were talking about Vitaly and Jerry. Who do you have? Who do you have winning that match? Vitaly or Jerry? Or did we talk about that already? Did we talk about that when we were live? We might have talked about that when we were live. But yeah, if you guys, we're going to Pennsylvania to pull a storm tomorrow. Last chance. If you guys want to, meet in the driveway in Connecticut, and we'll carpool down to Pennsylvania. James Clark says, Jerry, not biased at all. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely, you got to make a fair, neutral opinion. But yeah, I definitely think Jerry's gonna win too. I think it's gonna be close, but I think 3-2 Jerry in a grinder. Yeah. So, any other interesting topics you guys want to talk about arm wrestling? Any other interesting topics? Um, there's got to be some interesting stuff happening in the arm wrestling world. Um, so, it's not locked in, but it sounds like Dave Morocco is going to be showing up Tuesday to practice. He's a good puller. He's been around for a while. So hopefully it makes it Tuesday because that would be good training. Thomas Didi says there's been a lot of talk about Andrei Smav lately. Is that the Russian weightlift? That's the Russian weightlifter, right? Russian weightlifter, bodybuilder. He does all those crazy dips and pull-ups and stuff. Or am I thinking of someone else? James Clark says you're gonna set up my match with Angabayev. Yeah, man, I'm trying. Two things. It's a little bit of a language barrier, and the second thing is there might be a little bit of a budget barrier, but we're gonna try, man. We're gonna try. Thomas Didi says he's looking super huge, and I think the arm wrestling community really wants him to jump into arm wrestling fully to see what he can do. Yeah, that'd be interesting. That would definitely be interesting. I'm sure he's super strong, but it's definitely gonna take, I would say at least 2 to 3 years, probably 5 years for him to develop that unique arm wrestling strength before he's at the top. But he's got the right tools. He's got the right, structure. Thomas Didi says, yep, the Russian weightlifter bodybuilder. Brian Jones says, James, what do you think about Jerry versus that long arm? I think Vitali's elbow is gonna be like more than halfway back on the pad, and his arm will be open too much in the setup, and Jerry will just smash him. Definitely could. But we will see. We will definitely see soon. What about the other match, Nugo versus Petrenko? I think Nugo might win. I think Nugo might win 3-1, 3-2 maybe. Thomas Didi says Smov versus Leonidas could be a cool first matchup. Although Leonidas definitely has a lot more experience under his belt. Yeah, possibly. Could possibly, that could possibly be a match. But I do think Smov is going to need some time to train and, just condition his tendons and joints just, a little bit before he's thrown into the fire. But I'm sure he'll be fine either way. Yeah, definitely will be interesting. Thomas Stevie says, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but there's only one way to find out, and that's with the real match. That's the only way to find out. James Clark says, not sure. All depends on if Jerry gets in a spot. Vitaly could do the same that Hermes and Levon did. Definitely, it's a possibility, and hopefully Jerry's training for that possibility. Brian Jones says, I like Petrenko. Nugo is a top roller, right? Question mark. Should be a badass matchup. Yeah, I think Nugo is more of a top roller. I'm sure he can hook, but at least his last match it was a top roll, if I'm not mistaken. Oops, knocked the camera over. Um, So yeah, practice Tuesday. Sounding like it's going to be a good practice. Dave Morocco showing up. He's got a real good King's move. If I'm not mistaken, maybe it's an open top roll, but I think it's a King's move. It's always interesting pulling King's movers, especially when they have a really good King's mover. We got a guy on our team, Big Ron. He's got a real good King's move, especially when he sets it. He can give almost anyone a hard time if he sets his King's move. Same thing with Morocco, you know. I haven't seen Morocco since he had a match with Tim Bresnan. I think it was at least a couple years ago, maybe more, 3 years ago. It was on I think that was in New Jersey on the boardwalk or the pier. I think it's the pier. I forgot what it's called. It might just be called the pier. But it was like it was like a fair on a a pier or dock, whatever those things are called that go out into the ocean. But this was a big one. It was like it was like 500 feet, maybe more out. There was Ferris wheels out there and restaurants. But the real cool thing about that day is when you looked out into the ocean, there was like hundreds and hundreds of stingrays. It must have been like the stingray mating season or something. They were just the water was just full of stingrays. So that was pretty cool. But you'll have to take my word for it because I didn't get any video of that. So maybe it never happened. Brian says Chief smashed Eric Krausen at that one. Yeah, I can't remember who Eric is, but I definitely know Chief was on fire that day. I think the only loss, if I'm not mistaken, the only loss he took was in the overall. And that was that was the only time I ever pulled Chief in an actual tournament. Was that one time in the overall. That was such an interesting overall because I won the left hand bracket for the overall. Tim Bresnan won the right hand bracket for the overall, and then we had to decide the winner of best overalls. What they did is they had 3 matches right, which Tim beat me 3 times, and then we had 3 matches left. Tim doesn't pull left, so he forfeited those 3 matches, so we were at a tie. And then we needed one more match for a tiebreaker, so we flipped a coin. Tim won the coin toss. So we did right arm, and I ended up winning on the 4th match, and I won the overall. But yeah, that was such an interesting overall because they even put amateurs in the overall. So I went from pulling, Tim Bresnan to, the person that won the novice class first place, the person that won the amateur class first place, which, I think that's one of the reasons why we led to being so strict with our novice class at Turtle Man. First timers only. And our overalls are for pros only. You know, not even semi-pros, pros only. Um, you know, because you definitely don't want to see, you know, one of the best guys smashing up on an amateur and, you know, destroying their arm. Because they don't really have a choice, you know what I mean, with, you know, an overall kind of thing. But let's see. Brian Jones says he's Canadian. He did some steel bending comps. I entered. Okay, now I remember. Now I do think I remember who we talking about. Yeah. Brian Jones is much heavier than Chief too. Yeah, but that usually doesn't stop the Chief. You know, he's known for winning the overalls, only being whatever 168 or whatever that weight class is, 179, 176 maybe it is. But so I'm probably gonna let's see what time it is. Yeah, so probably gonna stay on for like another 5 or 10 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Nope. Hopefully it's just must be just a car or something. But it looked like someone was in the driveway. Oh, there's someone in the driveway. I think it's just a mailman. But there's only one way to find out. Frank sees him. Nothing to worry about. Frank's got it under control. Brian says, all right, bro, I'll see you in here tomorrow if you go live. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Yeah, it must have been just the delivery man dropping off last second, you know, mail. But yeah, guys, if anything else you want to talk about before we hop off, let me know. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I think I'm going to call it there. Hope you had fun, and we'll see you next time.